Merry Christmas, everybody. This is such a wonderful time of year. And for us, for my wife and I, this is a new kind of wonderful. You see, it was 1 year ago, exactly 1 year ago, that my wife and I turned our lives over to Jesus. We told him that he could take everything. It didn't really matter. He could take our home, our wealth, our jobs, our income, even our family, our children, if necessary. We needed his truth. We prayed for his truth. Oh my gosh. When you surrender yourself to this God, it's unbelievable how he delivers. And so we've had this incredible year. It has been a year of miracles and tender mercies, a year of constant prayer, of constant praise, of constant pain and sorrow. It makes me think of Paul. He talked about how he was content even when life was so difficult and the trials and the costs of discipleship were so high. But through it all, there is always God. There's always God there. I think that's what lifted Paul up. It's what has lifted me. And I have to share with you this past week because it is a perfect case in point. 1 week ago, a member of my old Mormon ward in Rockland dropped by. And he invited me and my wife to join him and his wife at the ward Christmas party. And, you know, people would say, why would you go? And I say, why wouldn't I go? These are the brothers and sisters that are still trapped in the bondage and lost in the maze of Mormonism. Why wouldn't I go and spend time with them? And so I accepted. I said, absolutely, we will go. And then I thought of the letter from the legal offices of the Mormon Church. You see, when I had my excommunication hearing, I went in and it was a peaceful, it was a peaceful and reasonable meeting. And a day or two after the meeting, I was shocked when I got a letter from the legal offices of the church, which said because of my behavior during this excommunication hearing, that I caused all Mormons to fear for their safety, and specifically that I had caused the stake president, President Garn Lovell, to fear for his safety. The beauty of this whole story is that when they made these allegations against me, they didn't know that I had recorded the hearing. And so I released my recording of the hearing along with the letter from Curtin McConkie, the legal beagle for the church. And as you listen, there was no violence, there was no threat of violence, there was no suggestion of violence, there was not even a thought or a consideration for violence. You see, they manufactured it. And that's what the Sanhedrin has always done. The Sanhedrin always manufactures evidence against their perceived enemies. So anyway, I didn't think much about it. I don't have any reason to go back to church. And then came this invitation to go to a Christmas party. Now this is just a party where people are gathering together to celebrate the birth, the coming of Messiah. Why would anybody not invite everybody to something like that? Well, I accepted the invitation of my friend, but I said I'd have to check with the bishop to make sure. And so when I called him, he assured me that he would absolutely enforce the letter, that if I showed up, the authorities would be called and I would be arrested and prosecuted. I talked to him about the realities of this letter. I said, you know, I'm still part of a Mormon family. I am going to have wedding receptions and homecomings and baby blessings and even funerals of those people that I love. And I said specifically, my mother's getting a little bit up in years, and we're not expecting anything real soon, so, you know, Mom, breathe easy. But the day will come. And I asked, even to my mother's funeral, would you have me arrested? He said, yes. I asked this bishop, are you willing at least to hear the audio of the hearing so that you can see that I made no threats? And then maybe you can take action and do the right thing. And he said, for me, the only right thing is to absolutely, blindly, without thought, without information, without knowledge, without the facts, follow stake present Garn Lovell. So I thought, well, maybe the legal office of Kearton McConkie would be interested in the evidence that proves that Garn Lovell lied. So I contacted the office, and a day later, Dan McConkie, one of the big wigs at Kearton McConkie, called me back, and I posed the same questions to him. What about these family events that are so important? Why would a Church of Jesus Christ who espouses family values, why would they do everything in their power to stop me from participating in essential family events? And he assured me that he would absolutely call the authorities, have me prosecuted, arrested, and I couldn't comprehend it until a day or so later. I was listening to the recording, because I did record this conversation with Mr. McConkie. And at one point he told me that I'm to stay off of, well, this is how he said it, stay off our property. Not God's property, not the church's property, stay off our property. And the light came on. I understood what this was about. You see, in Jesus' day, they had the temple treasury, and it was filled, especially during the festivals, Passover. People came in, they were exchanging money, they were buying sacrificial animals, lambs and doves and all of this. And all of that money was going into the temple treasury, which benefited the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Sanhedrin. And I just went, oh, I get it. Kearton McConkie is the temple guard. It's the strong arm for the church. Kearton McConkie is a church elect. Kearton McConkie is making bank from the temple treasury, our tithes. And so Kearton McConkie has no interest in bringing me back into the fold, to bring me back to Jesus as he sees him. Kearton McConkie knows that he has already lost my tithes, and he knows that I represent a threat, not to his God, not to his faith, not to anything other than his temple treasury, to his pocketbook. Whew. So anyway, a few days later, I went to this amazing event. Now, I have had the pleasure this past year of worshiping with the most amazing people over at Rocky Mountain Ministries. And I have become very good friends with so many of them, including the members of this band. This is their worship band. And in fact, I got to contribute in a small way to the concert this year, in that I was allowed to go and do the band photograph. So anyway, a few days after all of this, with the hateful bishop and with the hateful attorneys of the church, I went to this concert, and I went angry. I could not believe, I can't comprehend, of anyone who would profess to be of God and at the same time would destroy family relationships. I just can't comprehend that. And so I went to this concert pretty angry. And as I sat there and I listened to these amazing praises in song and prayer for our God, my God came down and he washed over me. That blood, that faith, that spirit washed over me. And I sat in that concert and I wept multiple times. I sat there and I thought, wow. In this Christmas concert, everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome. Even these men who would have me arrested. At this concert, I would love to have them come as my guests and fill of this spirit, a spirit that can't possibly exist at a Christmas party where certain people aren't welcome. And so I experienced a renewing as I watched the concert. And when I left, I grabbed up a handful of these. The next morning I wrote a short letter, talked a little bit about what God has done in my life. Oh man, so much. And the next morning I took a handful of these concert posters and a number of letters, and I went to the homes of the very men who would have me arrested. I went there with a smile on my face. I went there, shook their hands, looked into their eyes, and I said, here is a celebration of Christ where every man is welcome. And I am here today to invite you to come as my guest, because there were still 4 showings left. I said, come as my guest, I'll drive. I want you to come with me. And they looked at me. I don't think they could even comprehend what was happening. You see, this type of welcoming love is so foreign inside of Mormonism. They couldn't comprehend it. They just stared at me, and we had these awkward moments when we tried to converse, and then it was over. But I asked them, will you give me a call? Let me know. If you can make it, let me know. If you can't, that's okay too. Let me know. And I was, not surprised, but saddened, because not one of these men even did me the courtesy of returning or making a phone call and just letting me know, hey, we can't make it. So anyway, the long story short is God is a God of wonders, and my anger turned to love. My anger and frustration turned to acceptance. You see, I, in a very small way, felt what Paul felt. I was content even in my persecution. And as I was being persecuted, threatened, being banned from family events, I was trying to return good for evil. And you can't have Jesus without joy, even in the worst of circumstances. Hey, everybody, Merry Christmas. Let Christ be your center. Let God be the reason for the season. Just go and love Him and allow His love through you to be seen by the world. Merry Christmas, everybody.